Good, good morning, and welcome to another pre-market review session with the Market Trader. My name's Ray, the Market Trader, and before we get started, we'll need to get through our risk disclosure. So let's go ahead and do just that. All right, just to remind everyone that the content that's being published and distributed by the Market Trader is to be treated as general information only. None of the information provided herein is intended as investment advice. An offer to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, sponsor any security, company, or fund. We all understand that the use of this information contained herein is to be used at your own risk, and the company, its partners, representatives, agents, employees, and contractors assume no responsibility or liability for any use or misuse of such information. Future trading does carry a fair amount of risk and is not for every investor. An investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle should be used for trading, and only those individuals with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or forex, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention. Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and turn our attention over to the news portal and see what we have in news today that could have an impact in the markets. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and pause here for a moment, make sure that everybody can indeed see this. All right, so it looks like it is we're good. All right, so again, couple of news events here that could impact the markets are being published as we speak. We have the U.S. trade balance coming in today at actually being published as we speak. Okay, we have the initial jobless claims coming in positive 4,000 under forecast, and then we have the productivity and continued jobless claims coming in a little bit over estimate here. Okay, so and then what we have remaining, we still have wholesale inventories. We have the new 1 year inflation expectations coming in at 11 a.m. Eastern, and then we have consumer credit coming in at 3 p.m. today. Okay, so still a fair amount of news that has the potential of impacting the markets. Okay, so now that we've gotten through the news here, we'll go ahead and turn our attention over to our trading platform and see what context we can create from that. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look. All right, looking at our platform here. Okay, so starting a review with the gold market. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn off this as we're not in the midst of a trade, at least early on. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the daily chart and see what we have in store here. So let's go ahead and remove our drawings. Let's collapse this and ask ourselves, what kind of market are we in? Okay, now while we have on the daily chart, what I see, is while we have been in a kind of bullish trend, I could see that the market has been kind of a lackluster momentum wise and direction. Okay, we see a lot more in the way of overlapping price. Okay, we had a rather strong move here to the downside leading up to the end of the year, and we've remained inside this candle ever since. So at the moment, it appears that the gold market is in some sort of range. So we're experiencing a little bit in the way of range kind of price action in this market. I would expect that this area here around 45.55 could be an area where we do see some sellers. And down below here around 43, let's call it 4,300, could be an area where we see buyers. Okay. And we've been in this range ever since. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, I'm going to go ahead and disable the initial balance ranges here for a moment. Okay. And take a look and see what we have here. And you can see, right, we are, again, this kind of now is a little bit more visible since we have a little bit more candles here. You can see that we are, it appears to be, we are in some sort of wedge pattern. Okay. This is kind of what I'm seeing here. Some sort of wedge pattern, some sort of consolidation pattern, just kind of coiling here, right? Trying to understand exactly which direction they want to take this market. We've come down to this 4320 level and responded away from it. And technically, if I just look at these series of candles, we've been on some sort of bullish swing. Okay. But if I look at this in more context, you can see that really this swing is still inside the swing that was created back prior to the close of the year. So technically, until we can break above this 45, the high here, we are in some sort of range, right? If we are seeing some maybe of late, maybe a little bit more in the way of some sort of bullish pattern here, we still haven't made a new high or the high that was placed prior to the close of the year. So let's go ahead now and take a look at the 30-minute chart, and we'll go ahead and remove our drawings, and we'll again take a closer look at more recent price action and see what we can say. Looking at the fixed range volume profile, we'll start off with that, and we'll compare price action with let's see here. We'll start off with the start of yesterday's trading during the New York session to the close, right about there. And you can see that we've had a fair amount of bearish trading, right? We have a series of lower lows and lower highs. We managed to hold off, at least for now, any further selling. 44.15, 44.20 has kind of served as at least as a temporary support area in this market. We see that price is above our 9 and working its way above our VWAP. If we do manage to hold above our VWAP, that does open the door for the possibility of returning back to the highs of the day. Okay, so back in this range here, right around 44.75, assuming that we can indeed hold, because what's developing here is a little bit, what I'm seeing is a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe a double bottom, possibly a triple bottom pattern that's developing down below. So that could at least give us, if we are going to continue to coil and remain in a range, it could at least offer us maybe an opportunity here back to the high of day. Okay. All right. Taking a look at, let's see here. We're going to take a look at the initial balance. Can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. All right. So what I was saying is that we've kind of reached an area. We've kind of reached a little bit of a double bottom here on the bottom. Okay, so indicating that maybe we are going to maybe be at least for a little bit of a temporary. Now we do have a fair number of sellers. I was about to take a look at the London market here and see what London had to offer. And you can see London, for the most part, has been in some sort of range. Okay. Now it's kind of peaked its head above the initial balance range, but has not been able to at least hold above the initial balance range as of now. So the question now becomes, as we approach, or we are already in the U.S. session, are we going to get the participants to break above 44.45 and maybe offer us maybe a sustained move back to the highs of the day? So taking a look at the current session, we'll take a look and see what kind of, at least the preliminary, right, 30-minute candle that we're getting. So we're getting some sort of rejection away from the lows. We did barely manage to close above this area. So now the question for me is, can we get above? Can we get above here? Can we close above this area? Because this area, okay, is the next logical area of resistance in this market. If we do manage to get above that, then I don't see any reason, based on the price action, why we can't get up to this next high. Okay, so headed into the session, again, I feel like we are in a little bit of a range in the gold market. I would say of late that we've been a little bit in the way of bearish. Most recently, we've been in some sort of bearish structure in this market. Now the question becomes, are we going to be able to start to develop some structure to indicate that maybe we are going to revisit these highs? Otherwise, what it appears is that maybe there's a possibility that we just continue in this kind of bearish structure that we're currently in. The bulls have managed to at least hold off, for a few hours here, the pace at which we were going lower. Now the question is, can the participants, do we have the participants to drive price and at least get us back to this 44.75 level is kind of what I'm looking at. So headed into the session, I would say I'm gonna say bearish to neutral, okay, at the moment, because I haven't seen enough evidence to kind of change my view here. So bearish to neutral is kind of what I'm looking at in the gold market. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the silver market, a new addition to these sessions, and we'll start off with the daily chart. Okay, and again, looking at the daily chart, you can see that we are in some sort of consolidation here. Let's go ahead and remove some of my drawings. You can see again that we are in some sort of overlap, some sort of indecision as to the next direction that they want to take this market. We do remain, however, above our 9 EMA, as you can see here. And if I do open up my moving average ribbon, you can see that we're well above all of them. Okay, but we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown in the momentum that we've experienced in this market to the upside, and maybe even maybe building a case for us to maybe possibly come back and revisit some of these levels, like the I believe this is the 20, 50, 100, and 200. This would not be out of the realm of possibility here if we come back and retest this 70 level. Okay, we have not been to this level since we broke above, and it would be a logical level to revisit to see what kind of conviction we have to the upside. Okay, so still looking at a bullish kind of market structure here on the chart. But I do see that we are losing a little bit of the momentum that we've experienced in the silver market of late. Okay, and that's also evident in the DMI indicator, right? You can see that our positive DI indicator is kind of losing some steam. The slope of the ADX indicator, so there's a little bit of divergence here, right? Momentum is still relatively strong, but we are seeing a little bit of loss in momentum, loss of positive pressure, okay, in this market, right? So again, while we remain bullish, we're losing a little bit of momentum, I would say, in that direction. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart and see what the 4-hour chart has to say. And again, you can see here on the 4-hour chart, we can turn off initial balance here for a moment, and you can see, right, we're starting to see the beginnings of some crosses of some moving averages here, right? So you can see that price has gotten below our 9, below our VWAP, below our 20, below our 50 MAs. Okay. So we're starting to see maybe that building up some structure that would lead us to the downside. Now, looking at this 4-hour chart, where could this all kind of stall? Well, it could stall right around this 70, 80 or 71 level. Okay. Here on the 4-hour chart. That would be a logical destination for this move to take place. Okay, it's kind of a visual target, and it's also hovering around. Let's see, the 100 with a 100 SMA here. Okay, that would be a potential target for this current move in the silver. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, a 30-minute chart, we're seeing more evidence, and probably need to look at more of an EMA ribbon, but nonetheless, we see that price is below some of our simple moving averages. As I get into these lower time frames, I like to look at ribbons that are more of the exponential variety. So let's confirm here which version of the MAs we have. They're of the simple variety. I don't know if I can actually change this, but as I look at this on a lower time frame, I'd like to modify this. All right, let's go ahead and modify this to the EMA. Okay. When we're looking at the lower time frame, I think it makes a little bit more sense to be aware of. Okay, so that's just accelerating our view that we are maybe looking at a little bit of downside structure in this market. Taking a look at the fixed range volume profile and seeing where price is in relation to yesterday's price action. We're going to go ahead and drag this across to the close. And you can see here that price is below our area of value from yesterday's pricing here. Okay, so if I extend this line here, you can see that we are below value, indicating folks are willing to pay a premium to be a part of this market to the downside. I would say that this area above this level here at what is it, 76.50, let's say, could serve as a logical area for a continuation move. If should we rally, that would be a logical place to restore maybe this current move that we're in. But we are what appears to be in a rather strong move, okay, to the downside. I'm kind of looking at the volume here. Volume is still relatively steady to the downside. Our DMI indicator is kind of not consistently sloping in the same direction, but the negative DI is above our positive DI, so indicating there's still a fair amount of selling pressure in this market. Okay, taking a look at the initial balance ranges for this silver, we're going to go ahead and start off with the Asia session and see what Asia traders managed to do with the market. And you can see here that Asia was able to move price lower, right? We got a nice little extension here to the 200% extension of the original range. So a fair number of sellers in this market. Taking a look at the London, looking at London from an initial balance perspective, you can see that we are also again looking to extend lower, right? We got a relatively strong break to the downside. We made an attempt to get back inside the initial balance range, only to be rejected. Okay, now it looks like we are looking to make maybe a potential another leg here to the downside. So 73,350 seems like a reasonable target, and maybe there's a possibility that we come back. And as we kind of highlighted in the when we were reviewing the daily chart, there's a possibility that maybe we come back and revisit 71 or 71.75 or 70.75. Okay. That's kind of the structure we're in, because everything prices below all our EMAs, below our VWAP, below our 9 EMA, and we're working, kind of staircasing our way to the downside. So this to me looks far more bearish than the gold market. Okay. All right. Let's just kind of taking a peek here, see if there's any questions. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and take a look here at the crude oil market, which is 5 minutes away from opening here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start looking at crude. Crude has been kind of a mixed bag, really difficult to see and understand exactly what it's trying to accomplish here. So we'll go ahead and turn off our turn off our initial balance at least. We'll open up our daily chart and take a look here and see. Okay, well, again, we are in continue to be in some bearish structure here to the downside. You can see that price remains below all the EMAs or SMAs that we care about. Price is well below all of those levels. Okay, so on the daily chart, again, we are in some sort of range, not really in any sort of impulsive move in any sort of direction as we speak, but certainly we continue to grind to the downside in this market. All right, taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, again, we're seeing a little bit of signs here that maybe we've created a little bit of maybe a potential double bottom here. I see that this area down below here around 55.75 does appear to be an area of some level of support or demand, however you want to look at it. So I'm gonna go ahead and color that in green. Okay, appears to be a supportive area, and as long as price is not able to close inside it, remains a supportive area. Okay, so 55.75 does continue to be an area of support. All right, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, I'm going to go ahead and let's see. We'll leave the man zone, and we're just going to go ahead and take a look at the most recent price action. Okay, so you can see here that we've had a fair number of bullish traders here for London. Really, Asia really did not have any particular inclination as to which direction they want to take the crude oil. And I've kind of mentioned this in the past, but I think London seems to be an ideal market to consider trading something like the crude oil. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the fixed range volume profile. Let's see where we are with price. Okay. Against the yesterday's value range. And you can see that it appears that we are above the range. Okay, so indicating that we do have, some buyers in this market. I would say mainly these buyers have come of late here during the London session. We're up against this value zone from a prior day. Okay, you can see here, right? This is a value area. Often these prior value ranges from prior days often act as areas of potential, either targets or resistance or things of that nature, right? Or supporting, depending on the direction here. Okay, so we're up at a level where we could potentially, right, the 57 level. This could offer us maybe a location for price to reverse, because at the end of the day, the overall, I would say, the overall sentiment on the higher time frame, I would say, remains rather bearish. Okay. All right. Let's let's go ahead and compare. Let's kind of confirm what I've already mentioned here with respect to these initial balance ranges. And we'll go ahead and start off with the Asia session, and we'll take a look at the Asia session and confirm that what I already mentioned, that Asia was really not non-committal as to the direction. Now we did move lower. Okay. Not in any sort of aggressive way. Okay, we did move lower, kind of grinded lower until London came in, and London basically took the market higher. So again, a little bit of a mixed bag here as to which direction they want to take this market, indicating that we are in some sort of range. Okay, looking at London, you can see that the moment that London started, we everybody said 56. This is a great price. They were willing to buy up all the oil they can. Okay, so again, a little bit of a mixed bag, right? Asia a little bit neutral to bearish. London a little bit more in the bullish way. It'll be interesting for me, since I've already identified this level here of a value area low from a prior day, right? So if we do manage to close if we do manage to close inside that area, well, that could open up the door for maybe price to reverse all the way up to 58. Okay. We could use 57 as a logical reference level to support a trade to the upside. But we have to get a close, and we have to see that there's volume supporting that move. Okay. Because right now we're seeing volume kind of working against that direction. Okay. Which could work in his favor, because if people are overly short, they're going to have to and realize that they're in the wrong direction. They're going to have to close, and that could accelerate this move here to the upside. Okay. So interesting level, I would say, in the crude oil market. I'm going to say that overall, I would say that the market still remains bearish. Haven't really seen, again, based on the higher time frame. It'll be interesting to see what we do with this 57 level. If this 57 level does break and we do close above it, that could open up the door for us to maybe potentially get back to the highs here, back from a couple of days ago at 58. Okay. But it does feel like that we are maybe in, again, continue to be in a range, maybe a little bit of bullish of late here. Okay. We'll continue to watch this 57 level. All right. All right. So taking a look at my like indicator, we're a couple of participants light on a full participation on the likes. Again, before we kind of move on to the equities, I'm just going to kind of plug my channel here a little bit. If you are a new subscriber, you're not already a subscriber, I'd encourage you to subscribe. If you have not left a like on the content that's being presented here, I'd encourage you to do that. And also, if you're inclined to, kind of leave a comment or two on the portal, that's also would be appreciated. Okay. Looks like that generated another like, so that'll drive me to go ahead and take a look at the equity markets. All right. So taking a look at the equity markets on a daily basis here, you can see that we are developing something in the way that at least appears to be somewhat of an ascending, some sort of maybe a wedge, maybe pattern here. Kind of trying to figure out what to make of this here. But let's go with this pattern here. We have it looks like a little bit of an ascending wedge pattern. Okay, I'm just going to leave the top here as maybe a target area for this price. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm seeing. Again, kind of grinding to the upside with a very definitive ceiling here at I'm gonna call it 26,200. Okay, so every time we've come back to this lower trend line, we've reversed away from it. Now the question becomes, can we get above this most recent high of 26,000? Okay, so 26,000 as of right now seems to be an area of some sort of resistance. We weren't able to get above it yesterday, and currently we're developing a bearish candle, but with a buying wick, and price is above some of the EMAs that we care about. So giving us the indication here that maybe there is still more upside, okay, in this market that is, I would say, ranging. So ranging to maybe bullish up until this area here. I'd like to see if we are indeed going to remain bullish, then obviously we'd like to see price continue to make higher highs and higher lows, and the next level that it needs, assuming that we can get above this 25,870 level, the next logical level for price to come back to and maybe potentially break to the upside to maintain this bullish structure would be 26,200. Okay, take a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we're going to go ahead and turn off our initial balance ranges here and see what we can make of this market. All right, so looking at the 4-hour, you can see that we're above most of our EMAs here. We came back and retested what appears to be the 50 EMA here. Okay, 50 EMA got retested, and we developed almost a bullish engulfing candle here on the 4-hour, and the subsequent candle is also bullish. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see as we approach the close of this 4-hour candle in about an hour, whether this current candle closes as bullish as it appears, or whether this is just maybe a slight pullback for price maybe to roll over, because we did make a new low a new low, not a new low in the market, but a new low, most recent low in this swing here. So the question now becomes, is this merely a retracement of a swing that wants to get maybe come back to the lower end of this channel or triangle pattern that I've drawn? If I look at the EMAs, it seems like the EMAs are still giving us some indication that there is still more upside in this market. All right. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart. So 30-minute chart, right away, I see that it has developed a little bit of a support zone here, right? This area seems to be supportive. Looking at this 25,742 level, this seems to be a supportive level for whatever reason. We've come down to this level once, twice, a third time, and finally, the buyers felt that they had enough participants to begin maybe the march of maybe coming back and testing some of these resistance zones or areas above. Okay, so let's take a look and see where we are with respect to our yesterday's price action. So we're going to go ahead and open up the fixed range volume profile here and open up the start of the session into the close of the session here, and you can see we are still technically below, okay, below value from yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and extend this line here, and that's going to serve as maybe an area of some sort of resistance to price. As long as we stay below this, then my thinking is maybe of the possibility that we could reverse right from this area, okay, down, right? And that would maybe be somewhat aligned to maybe the general direction that we see it in yesterday's session and into Asia, okay? Now we've gotten into London, and London seems to be rather, bullish on this market. Now we've come into an area where a decision needs to be made, right? We had a fair number of U.S. participants that were able to drive price lower and created this value area low. Now we're right back at this level again. So now the question becomes, do we hold 25,810, let's say 25,810? If we hold it, then we have the potential of rotating back the other direction, okay? And that would be aligned with this sort of swing that we received here to the downside. If we manage to close back inside this level and obviously get above this 25,840 level, that could open up the door to, kind of revisit the highs here, okay, and remain in some sort of range, and that would be consistent with the triangle pattern that we've been seeing, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at the initial balance ranges across the various markets here, or sessions, I should say, and we'll start off with the Asia session, and you can see, as I mentioned, right, we had a very nice break here to the downside in the Asia session, okay? London, on the other hand, is maybe a little slightly more bullish, although it has yet to break this initial balance range. It's coiling up at the upper end of this, so kind of giving us the indication that maybe they are building some participation to maybe potentially drive price higher. But as I mentioned, we are at an area, right, that where we could see sellers again step into this market because they stepped in to get the market out of balance and into a bearish trend. So are sellers still present here? And if so, do they have the participants to drive price lower from this location? Okay, so I don't know, maybe the beginnings of a little bit of a 3-bar reversal pattern here. I'd like to see this candle be more in the way of more directional here, right? A little of these candles right now appear to be a little bit on the indecisive side here, okay? So let's go ahead and open up our ADR here. I'm just kind of curious to see where my ADR levels are. How much room do I have here to the upside? Fair amount of room here to the upside in this market. We've already come down and retested ADR low, okay, and reversed away from it. Average daily range low. We've reached it. Now we're reversing away from it. Okay. Again, if I am bullish, well, I'd like to see price get above 25,820, and that could open up the door for price to rotate all the way through the value range, all the way up to 25,934.50. But I need obviously to get price above that level. Okay. So looking at this market, looking at the kind of the buying, maybe that we've actually a price action that we've seen in London. Maybe we are in the beginnings, although the DMI is still kind of inconclusive here. Maybe we are in the beginnings for maybe a bullish run here. Okay, bullish run, maybe back to the highs of the day here. Okay, so it or the highs of yesterday, I should say. Okay, DMI is still not really directional, not really giving us an indication. The positive DI is above, but our ADX indicator is really not telling us that there's a lot of momentum on this move at the moment. Okay, looking at our volume delta, pretty neutral with respect to volume here at this point. Really not a whole lot of orders, but we're still 20 minutes away from the market opening, which could change pretty quickly here. Okay. So I would say that we are in some sort of range. I would say that there's the possibility that we could continue maybe to the bullish direction, given what I'm seeing here, kind of the price structure that we're developing. I'm kind of curious to see if we are able to close inside the value range, because if we are able to close inside the value range, that maybe gives us a little bit of maybe some evidence that indicates that we could head higher in the NASDAQ. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the ES. Taking a look at the ES, we'll start with our daily chart. Taking a look at our daily chart, you can see that a market, and I'll turn off the ADR here, and then also turn off the initial balance ranges here. Okay. And you can see that again, we are in some sort of I would say certainly bullish kind of structure here. We've broken structure here to the upside on the daily chart. So this is indicating to me a little bit in the more in the way of some maybe bullish price action. Okay. Would not want to see price close below this though. Okay. Would like this level to hold, right? This level here around 69.30, I think is a relatively important level for the bulls to maintain. Okay. This kind of bullish market structure that we're seeing. Okay. Because we are above the 9, we are above all the EMAs that we care about. Okay. So kind of giving us some indication that maybe there is some more upside to this market. But again, we need to hold, I would say, certainly hold above 69.30 is kind of what I'm looking at, because I'm looking to the left, and that's kind of an area where this price action recently broke above. So that's, if I'm going to maintain this bullish position or structure, then I need price to hold above 69.30. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart, we're going to go ahead and remove our drawings here. Okay, so you can see that we got a relatively nice move here to break to the upside. During yesterday's session, we had a pretty good push to the downside that got us to the 50 EMA, and looks like that still hasn't really price hasn't really gotten above like the 9 and the VWAP to kind of give us an indication that maybe the bullish kind of market structure that we've been in on the higher time frame is going to continue, right? I'm kind of dominated by these 3-4-hour candles to the downside. So are these series of candles, is this merely a retracement for a move, continued move lower? Is that kind of what we're building up to do? Okay. Or are we going to kind of sustain, retest the highs back at 7,000? Okay. If we are going to do that, obviously we need to get above some of these EMAs. Right now, we kind of have our kind of in a mixed bag here. Okay. Some above, some below. Taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Okay. So we're kind of hovering below. Again, we're creating that same little demand zone that I mentioned in the NASDAQ in the ES, right? So price has not been able to close inside this 69.50 level. Okay. And then we have that 69.30 to 69.35 level just below it, right? So as long as price continues to hold this level, right? As long as price does not close inside this level, well, then there's a possibility that we continue higher. We are seeing that price managed to get above our VWAP, managed to get above our 9 EMA. Looking at our DI indicator, our DMI indicator, still not seeing anything in the way of momentum. Okay, in any direction, right? both the positive and the negative have kind of merged together. So indicating there's really no real direction in this market. We're just kind of ranging. Okay. Taking a look at the initial balance ranges across the various sessions here, just to kind of get a feel for what these sessions were able to do with these markets. So taking a look at the Asia session here to start. Okay, looking at Asia, right? So Asia was bearish, right? A lot of bearish traders here up in Asia. So if these bearish trade are positioning themselves to the short side, well, we probably don't want to see those shorts. Probably don't want to see price accept value from their session, right? So this area above 69, 62, 25. The expectation is that could serve as an area of some resistance and maybe continue or restore our move here to the downside from an Asia perspective, right? If I'm an Asian trader, right, and I manage to push price below, well, I wouldn't want price to get accepted back into value, right? The idea is that maybe we make a push up to that level and that restores our push to the downside, okay? Taking a look at London from an initial balance perspective, London, right, initially right now is a little bit neutral, right? We managed to maybe take a peek below, didn't like what we saw there, kind of hovered around and created a little bit of a demand zone that we've already kind of a support zone. And now we're hovering inside this initial balance zone. So London is not super committed to the buy side, right? This is more kind of a methodical kind of push back up, feels like more of a retracement than any sort of impulsive move. So that could maybe, build our case that maybe this level that I had mentioned earlier, this low of the initial balance low of Asia could provide us maybe a location for a continuation move here to the downside. Okay. So right now, I would say on the ES, probably looking more bearish, say neutral to bearish in this market until, let's say, if we can get above 69.70. 69.70 is probably going to be kind of my line in the sand here, for me to really turn my attention, at least on a lower time frame, turn my attention to more maybe bullish opportunities, because right now I feel like I'm in some sort of bearish structure here. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Dow here as one of our last markets to review before we summarize kind of where we stand across all these markets. Okay, so here we are. The Dow, again, still in some sort of bullish structure, but again, showing some signs maybe of weakness of late. We closed a relatively strong bearish candle here. We still technically are above some of our EMA levels, still giving us some indication that we are in some bullish structure, but we are showing some weakness in the momentum to the upside. Okay, we closed a candle here that relatively bearish to the downside, and now we're developing another candle to the bearish side, still managing to hold above some of the EMAs that we care about, but showing some level of weakness here. Okay, and if we start to see price closing below some of these, then that maybe will start to open up the door for maybe a more significant move here to the downside. Okay, if I'm bullish on this market, would not want to see price get below 48,240. Okay, I would not want to see that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, we'll turn off the initial balance range here for a moment here. Okay, so you can see that we've had a series of candles here to the downside. You can see that we're starting to see some of our EMA levels begin to cross. We're seeing that the 9 is beginning to cross below the 20. Again, giving us some indication that maybe we are getting into some momentum here to the downside. Looking at our DMI indicator, you see that we are getting our negative DI above the ADX indicator has yet to kind of align with this momentum to the downside that we're beginning to see, but we are starting to see maybe some beginnings of maybe some bearish structure here, right? You can see that price has managed to at least working its way below an area of what we would consider supportive here, right? So this area has already now has closed below. So that's now going to serve as kind of an area of resistance. We're coming into an area like 49,000, a nice logical psychological number. Okay. That's also an area that we maybe could continue to hold here. Okay. So we're kind of, we're coming into an area of decision. Right. So we have, again, a fair number of sellers in London. Right. So, and we continue to break some structure here to the downside. Do we continue to break some structure to the downside is the question, right? So this next decision, I think, that needs to be made here is right around this 49,000 level. Does 49,000 hold? And if not, then that opens the door for us to maybe explore further pricing down below 48,640, 48,300. Does not seem out of the realm of possibilities here if we continue in the downward direction here. Okay, let's take a look at the fixed range volume profile. Let's see where price is in relation to yesterday's price action here. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 30-minute. We'll open up the 30-minute and see where we're at. Again, a lot of indications here, guys, that we are in some sort of bearish structure in this market. Just kind of eyeballing this, I'm already seeing a fair amount of interest to the downside across all the sessions here. Okay, so looking at the most recent session, US session here, we'll go ahead and start here and close here. Okay, so you can see that folks are willing to pay a premium to be part of this market to the downside. If I open up my initial balance range, I think we will see evidence of participation to the downside in our initial balance ranges, right? So we had a very tight range in Asia to start. And what did Asia do? Well, they sold off. We get into London. London was not interested. London is also aligned with this bearish view of this market. So of the three markets, the Dow appears to be the most bearish of the markets. Okay, we have two sessions that look to be bearish. Okay, so until further notice, unless we can get a break above the 9, a break above the VWAP to the upside, we need to look for locations where we can take bearish opportunities. The low end of value, low end of the initial balance range, 49,111 in London would serve as a logical location. We have VWAP just above that at 49,130 could also serve as a logical location for continued move to the downside. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of summarize kind of where we stand across all the markets here with about 6 or 7 minutes remaining of this session before the New York session opens. So let's go ahead and take another peek here at kind of what kind of initial balance range are we establishing in the gold market. So it looks like we are a relatively tight range. Okay, still showing signs of bearish kind of action here, right? Every time we've made an attempt to make a new high, every time we made an attempt to get above VWAP, it's been sold off, right? So again, are we building a case here maybe for people to add to a position here for the long side? Possibly. Not really interested in the bullish side until we can kind of break this range here to the upside. So unless we can get above 44, 45, I'm really not interested in this market to the bullish side. Okay. Otherwise, it appears that this is a market either that is kind of consolidating for its next move, possibly lower, or consolidating because people have found a relatively good price in gold that they want to be maybe add to their portfolios, and maybe could offer us maybe a move back to the upside. All right, taking a look at the silver market. Okay, silver market again showing signs of bearish price action. I would say that maybe even more bearish. I would say silver is looking even more bearish than gold, right? Because we are well below our VWAP, well below our 9 EMAs, and well below all the indicators, all the EMAs that we care about. Okay, so I would say until we can start to break some structure here to the upside, I think we need to go into this market on the bearish side on silver. Crude oil. It's caught, it looks like caught some sort of bid here. Haven't really made any sort of progress in getting above 57 here. We still seem to be hanging around here at the 57 level. we haven't really gotten any sort of aggressive buyers or sellers in this market. So kind of maybe it's kind of currently under retail control, I guess you can think of it that way. We are a bit extended here to the upside, okay, above our 9, above our VWAP. So if I am bullish, I'd like to maybe, if I believe that we are going to break above this 57 level, I don't want to be the first one to make that attempt. I'd like to maybe get a little bit of a pullback down to 56.84, maybe as low as 56.66, and then maybe I can participate in an upside trade at that point, at which point maybe they have enough participants to drive price higher. So I would say neutral to bullish on the crude oil, okay? Taking a look at the equity markets, okay? Equity markets, we have been in some sort of downside structure in this market. We are up against the value range from yesterday, creating a little bit of a 3-bar reversal pattern. So again, I'm seeing some signs that maybe we head lower in the NASDAQ here, okay? I'm kind of drawing my little channel here, my little bullish channel. If I do get a break of that channel to the downside and manage to close back inside this area, could lead us lower here in this market. So I'm going to say neutral to bearish on the NASDAQ. ES, also similar kind of view here. Of late we've been in some sort of bear side structure in this market. I'm going to adjust my little channel here to maybe incorporate as many of these candles as I can. All right. If we remain below 69.50, 69.60, then I would say that there's maybe some more downside pressure in this market. So I'm gonna say also bearish to neutral in the ES. And then last but not least, looking at the Dow, and I would say that the Dow is probably looking the weakest of the 3 markets. I'm not even able to get any sort of bullish channel or even remotely looking bullish kind of channel developing in the Dow. So I would say that I'd probably be even more, I would just say bearish on Dow, right? I'm not seeing all that much coiling or consolidating going on here, okay? It's kind of grinding to the downside, okay, in the Dow, okay? So gold, metals looking lower. Crude oil is probably showing a little bit of strength, and I would say across all the equities showing some signs of weakness as well, okay? So with that, I'm just going to go ahead and take a peek here to see if there's any questions for me. I'm going to kind of focus my attention on the metals here, because we are about to get a close of the initial balance ranges here. Okay, so maybe we get something in the way of some sort of reversal in the gold, assuming that we can break above the initial balance range. But that's going to be my initial focus. And maybe keep an eye on silver as well. Okay, so with that, guys, we'll go ahead and close this session as we close normal sessions. Thank you, Michael. Trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. Have an excellent day trading, guys, and we'll talk again tomorrow, if not earlier.